Hey, pet parents, welcome. I'm so excited to be here. I'm Dr. Katie Woodley, and I'm going to be talking about how to use essential oils for your dogs today. So let me share my screen and we can get started. All right, so today we have a really exciting topic, a little bit of a controversial one, but we're going to go through how you can use essential oils for detox in your dogs. So what you're going to learn during this presentation are the possible toxin exposures to pets, how toxins can affect the body, how to safely use essential oils around dogs, and other ways that we can use plants for supporting detox and the immune health for your dogs. If you don't know me, I'm Dr. Katie Woodley, and I got started on this holistic journey back in 2013 when my husband developed an autoimmune disease. We knew there had to be another way to help his body heal versus using the strong immunosuppressive drugs that come with so many side effects. And through his health journey, I realized I could be doing so much better for my own pet patients. So I went down the path of becoming acupuncture and herbal medicine certified and haven't looked back. I created the Natural Pet Doctor to focus solely on integrating nutrition and herbal medicine and looking at the pet as a whole into my patients' treatment plans to prevent and fix disease, especially where conventional medicine fell short. So I'm on a crazy mission to make sure that you as a pet parent have options to help your pets thrive. Now, why is this topic so important? As you're sitting here listening, you probably have a furry companion sitting next to you. It could be a dog or maybe a cat, or maybe you even have both. I know you do anything for them to make sure that they live a long and vibrant life. They fill your heart with joy, I'm sure. They greet you after a long day of work, or maybe they even comfort you when you're upset. There's no greater beauty in this world than sharing it with our pets. So whether you get your pets as a baby or you get them as a senior, if you're new to this holistic health journey, you may not realize what's out there. And this is a picture of my baby Finn. I was in vet school when we got this 8-week-old bundle of crazy fluff, and I thought I was doing everything right by him. He traveled the world from New Zealand to coming back to the States, and he had all the toys you could ever imagine. And yes, he lined those up himself. But I didn't realize that there were as many hidden toxins out there as he was growing up. And through his last 6 years, we put him on a home-cooked diet, used herbs and acupuncture for him, but it still wasn't enough for him. And this sweet boy, unfortunately, started having seizures from a brain tumor, and he passed away just over 2 years ago now. But we were able to gain an extra year of life with him because of holistic medicine. However, I know toxins played a big part in his disease, and we're going to talk about what you need to know to help keep your pets safe so that you can hopefully avoid the heartbreak that I had personally with my soul pup Finn, but also that I see every day with my pet patients and these diseases that we can even prevent from happening in the first place. So this can be a really depressing topic, but it doesn't have to be. I want you to remember that our pets' bodies are well equipped with the tools they need for health when we provide it with the building blocks. Food's a big part, essential oils, herbs, plant medicine will all be a part of this discussion, along with some other ways you can naturally help your pets thrive so that they have many more amazing years of happy memories with you and the rest of the fur family. But let's start with toxins. It's estimated that there's up to 85,000 toxins a year that your pet's going to come into contact with. Unfortunately, many of those are hidden toxins we can't visually see. Drinking water is a common one, and pets require more water per day than any other nutrient. 70–80% of an adult pet's lean body mass is comprised of water, and water is essential for every bodily function. The Environmental Working Group has said that there's about 316 toxins lurking in tap water throughout the country, ranging from glyphosate to fluoride to carcinogenic byproducts from the chemicals that clean the water to make it drinkable, to even hormones and residues of recreational drugs. Not very good, right? And then we have environmental toxins, motor oils, de-icers, other toxins around in the park that your pet can even eat while out for a walk. And this is alongside other environmental toxins. There's fertilizers, pesticides, herbicides. Glyphosate or Roundup is a huge issue in the world, and glyphosate is the single most widespread herbicide used worldwide, with reports of detectable levels in 70% of the world's rainfall. And it's used as a broad spectrum system herbicide and a crop desiccant. So it's sprayed on a lot of crops at the end of harvest to dry them. But the problem is that it also has an antibiotic action on soil microorganisms. So it's affecting the whole ecosystem, and it can actually affect your pet's microbiome too, and affect their overall gut health and immune health and create all sorts of problems. Now, dogs are getting a significant exposure from the environment as well. Many dogs spend quite a bit of time outside, walking, playing, rolling in the grass, lawns, and other areas that are sprayed with Roundup and similar weed killers. This can add up to a lot of skin and contact exposure. And the National Cancer Institute has reported that dogs are twice as likely to develop lymphoma if Roundup is applied on the property 4 more times a year. Tufts University School of Veterinary Medicine reported that exposure to lawn chemicals raises the risk of canine malignant lymphoma by more than 70%. And veterinary studies at Purdue University have found links to bladder cancer in dogs. This is my Finn and my Stanley at our old apartment complex that had a ton of spraying around it. Stanley passed from aggressive GI lymphoma, and Finn died from a brain tumor. I can't say that there's a direct correlation, but I have my suspicions, and this type of exposure is very important to recognize for our pets. And then we have pet food and treats, and most pet foods have significantly high levels of glyphosate. One bowl of dry kibble dog food has an average of 400 parts per billion compared to a raw meat meal, measuring at an average of only 1 part per billion. So in other words, a dog eating an average quality kibble will get 400 times the level of glyphosates in one meal compared to a dog eating a high quality raw food. And there's a lot of research going on right now with independent laboratories. HRI, or Health Research Institute, has actually found that glyphosate levels in the urine of dogs in the United States to be an average of 30 times higher than their human counterparts. And cats are at an average of 16 times higher than people due to the ingredients being used in our pets' food. We also have byproducts from the way that pet foods are manufactured. All kibbles extruded at really, really high heats under high pressure for at least 30 minutes. Acrylamide, heterocyclic amines are Maillard reaction byproducts, or what we call advanced glycation end products, that are found in high levels in processed human and pet foods. They're pro-inflammatory, they're carcinogenic, and these are natural consequences of high heat processing. So you're not going to find these chemicals on the ingredient list. And then we have to look at conventional medications, monthly preventatives, flea and tick products, and other drugs that your pets may be taking. In 2018, the FDA released a statement that care should be used for pets with known history of seizures and potential for neurological adverse reactions. So muscle tremors, ataxia, seizures for dogs when they're treated, and cats also, when they're treated with these flea and tick preventatives. So specifically Bravecto, Credelio, NexGard, and Simparica. These drugs are known neurotoxins. That's how they work against the insects. And they're all part of this class of drugs called isosazolines. And I've personally seen a lot of my patients, they've developed liver failure, tremors, behavior problems, hepatitis. A lot of them have died from one single dose, secondary to these drugs being used. So this is another toxin we really need to be careful with because they are being commonly prescribed by veterinarians. And then we have what's being exposed to the inside of your home. So your pets are living inside, right? We have cleaning products, laundry products, dish cleaner, floor cleaners, candles, diffusers, Glade plugins. There's a lot of different chemicals out there that we can't always see or even smell. And it can really feel overwhelming, right? You might be feeling a little bit hopeless seeing all this long list of toxins. But here's the thing, there's a lot you can do, and you're going to get the tools throughout this entire series, the summit, and through this webinar to help reduce the risk of these toxins affecting your pets so that they can feel their best and minimize the risk of disease. But I also want you to keep in mind that it's the long-term effects that we're trying to prevent. I hear it over and over again that these things don't make you sick. And while the exposure to things like glyphosate or feeding a kibble diet may not make your pet sick right now, it's the long-term results that we worry about. The chronic exposure to these chemicals that lead to the degenerative changes in your pet's body that can lead to diseases like cancer. So let's start with, what should you be looking for? What are some of the signs your pet may need a detox? Well, we know that together these toxins can really take a toll on your pet's body. They can lead to cellular dysfunction and subsequent chronic illness, blocked energy production, insulin function, toxin metabolism. There's thyroid hormone imbalances, a tendency to be overweight, and inflammation. So when you look at this list, those are common findings. And also the thing to be aware of is that toxins can also affect 3 generations down the line through epigenetic changes. These are changes in the genes because of the toxins, say, your grandmother was exposed to. So even though your pet is not being exposed, sometimes we have to go further up the line and go, well, we're doing everything right, but why is this still happening? And that could be what's happening, is that further down the line or further up the line, they were exposed to heavy metals and other toxins, and they weren't fed a great quality food. And unfortunately, those changes in the genes and how the genes are being expressed is happening with your own pet. But what are some of the ways that we can actually support detoxing, right? Now we have to think about the detoxification pathways. These are the pathways that are going to help your pet get rid of toxins. So we have the liver. That's of course the first thing that most people think of. We got to support liver, but we can't forget about the gastrointestinal tract, the skin, and the kidneys. And so if we have a sluggish GI tract, or we have an upset microbiome and gut health is off, we're going to have a harder time getting toxins out of our dog's body. Or say we have a dog that has kidney disease, it's going to be a lot harder to get toxins out of the body. So keep that in mind as we go through this. These are the systems that we want to make sure that we're optimizing. We also want to be removing those sources of toxins. So we need to be thinking about, what is your pet being potentially exposed to inside the home or outside the home, right? That we can control. Pesticides, herbicides, are you spraying stuff on like weeds? Candles, artificial fragrances, those plugins. And then we also need to be looking at, maybe it's time to upgrade our pet's food if we're able to, or at least add in fresh foods. And I'll give you some fresh foods in this presentation that you could start adding in today to support these detox pathways and provide additional nutrients to the body. But one of the things too with these chemicals is we need to start looking at, let's use some natural cleaning products instead. Vinegar, baking soda, lemon juice go a really long way for helping to clean your home and remove those chemicals from you being exposed to them alongside your pets. There's also a lot of great natural cleaner brands if you want to use a pre-made option. So just go to the Environmental Working Group website, ewg.org. We need to make sure we're getting rid of synthetic artificial fragrances. It's something we're going to talk about with essential oils especially, but those Glade plugins, the candles, there's a lot of artificial synthetic fragrances that are a huge problem for our pets and for us too. But keep in mind, this doesn't have to be all overhauled at once. Start with one area, start with one thing, and make those small changes to make it easier and work your way up. And before you know it, within a year, you're going to have a clean and green household and a happier pet, and you're also going to feel better too. So there's quite a few different natural remedies. Of course, we can't cover everything today. However, we're going to look at some essential oils that are going to be really helpful for the body. We're going to look at a few herbs that you can add in, and we're going to look at some foods that we can use as medicine. And what's amazing with natural remedies is that they tend to bring the body back into homeostasis and can support the detox pathways while reducing inflammation and supporting optimal cellular health. That is the beauty of using natural medicine rather than using a conventional drug where it's blocking a receptor and we're not getting all the synergistic properties of the plants working together to do all these amazing things in the body. So let's start with essential oils, right? Let's go straight into it. What are essential oils? And essential oils are the aromatic volatile liquids that are distilled down from shrubs, flowers, trees, roots, bushes, and even seeds. And the chemistry of essential oils is very complex. Each one may consist of hundreds of different and unique chemical compounds. That's why they're so powerful. However, less is more with these incredible plant compounds. Essential oils are highly concentrated and far more potent than dried herbs. The distillation process is what makes essential oils so concentrated. It often requires an entire plant or more to produce a single drop of distilled essential oil. Now, essential oils, what they do is they're protecting plants against environmental threats, from insects eating them, and they provide beneficial properties. So once again, they're highly concentrated when they're distilled for purity, potency, and efficacy. And historically, they've been used for food preparation, beauty treatment, and healthcare practices. Now, once again, essential oils are not simple substances. They're this mosaic of hundreds or even thousands of different chemicals. For example, even though an essential oil may be labeled as basil and have the botanical name Ocimum basilicum, it can have widely different therapeutic actions depending on its chemistry. So basil high in linalool is primarily used for its antiseptic properties, whereas a basil high in eugenol has both anti-inflammatory and antiseptic effects. And then additionally, essential oils can be distilled or extracted in different ways that can have dramatic effects on their chemistry and medicinal action. So oils derived from a second or third distillation of the same plant material are obviously not going to be as potent as oils extracted during the first distillation. Now, this leads us to this big problem, right? And big issue with using essential oils in pets, and the fear that a lot of people, and maybe even yourself, have. All essential oils are not created equal. And one of the factors that determines the purity and therapeutic value of an oil is its chemical constituents. So these constituents that make up this essential oil can be affected by a vast number of variables. So it can include what part of the plant is the oil produced from, what was the soil condition, the fertilizer, was it organic or chemical, what geographical region was the plant grown in, the climate, altitude, harvest season, and methods and distillation process. So what chemicals were used to distill that plant or the essential oil out of the plant. And one of the problems is there's no industry-wide standards. Essential oils are distributed through one or more brokers. The true source and composition are sometimes unknown. And the products are often synthetic or they're cut with cheaper oils or fillers. And it's these synthetic oils and fillers that are often unsafe or toxic to our pets. So that leads to the side effects and the reactions we see that makes people think essential oils are all bad for pets. Also comes down to the dosing. And once again, more is not better when we're using essential oils. So these are important things to keep in the back of our mind if we do decide we want to use essential oils in our dogs. So why is it so difficult to find pure therapeutic grade essential oils? Producing the purest of oils can be very costly because it may require several hundred pounds or even more of plant material to extract 1 pound of pure essential oil. For example, it takes 75 cups of peppermint tea to make 1 drop of essential oil. The majority of oils produced in the world today are used by the perfume industry, and so the oils are being purchased for the aromatic qualities only. So how good do they smell? Companies want higher quantities of oil produced at the fastest and cheapest rate. The oils smell just as good, but cost a lot less, but they lack the chemical constituents necessary for the therapeutic results that all of us here want to use them for. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about using essential oils. Now let's talk a little bit about how do you identify if what you're using is good quality. One of the brands I love, trust, and if you're in the States, you can get her essential oils is AnimalEO by Dr. Melissa Shelton. It's made specifically for pets. She's a veterinarian. This is all she does. And I trust, love her product. Use it for my cats. I've used it topically on my cats. My cats have ingested it and they have done just fine. And so that's definitely a really safe brand if you're looking for a brand. Now, if you want to look at other companies, there are other companies that are producing high quality oils, but you need to look at what third-party testing are they doing. This is where we look at certificate of analysis, and ideally they should be doing a purity test, and then they should be testing those oils for using gas chromatography and mass spectrometry. Those are more expensive tests, but if the company actually cares about the quality of the product, they will pay for that. So that's something to ask, and they should produce those results for you. We also need to be looking at sourcing, the quality of the plants being used. Is this an organic product, or has it been sprayed with these herbicides? We also need to understand, because essential oils are so concentrated and they're taking a lot of plant material, we do need to keep in mind the sustainability, and we need to make sure we're not using endangered plants. A lot of people are getting into essential oils, and it's going to create a huge problem. So make sure you do your homework, do your research. We can't go into all of that in this topic, but with the essential oils I'm recommending today, they are not endangered. If you're using AnimalEO, Dr. Melissa Shelton is very aware of the sustainability issue and quality issues, and her products are really high quality. So let's talk a little bit about the methods of application and the difference between animal aromatics versus aromatherapy. So animal aromatics, they work by allowing the animal to self-select and choose the remedy their body needs. Our animals, our dogs and our cats, have this innate sense and this innate ability to determine what their body needs and is missing to help it heal. The thing with animal aromatics is that they can always choose to leave and walk away if they want. So we're not forcing something on them. We're not forcing something in the food for them to take. We're not forcing something in the mouth. With aromatherapy, it's more the application of us applying what we think is best to our pets. So this can be by putting it in their mouth via a dropper or a syringe, applying it to their body in a carrier oil, or putting the oils in the diffuser. And there's mixed opinions out there about what's best. Ideally, first go to use animal aromatics, use self-selection, because it's very powerful to see what your animals choose, and they tend to stay less toxic that way. We're not forcing something on them that their body doesn't actually need, and they're choosing the dosage, the amount that their body needs and wants. So that's a very big difference between those two. Now here's a guide. It's a dilution guide that you can follow for diluting essential oils to a safe concentration for your dogs. Now the mill can be for water for the diffuser if you're using a carrier oil for topical or oral application. And you can use this guide for both self-selection typically, or if you're also, if you're using oils, make sure you don't put the oils in your water diffuser or you'll wreck your diffuser. So keep in mind, this can be for water, it can be for your oils. And if you're looking at additional resources for essential oils, if you hear the term like applied neat, that means that it was not diluted. If you're doing that, just make sure that you are working with someone or you know what you're doing, so that way we're not causing any harm to our pets. Now, some of the safe carrier oils, dilution oils that you can use that dogs really like and will take to. So what this means is you're using these essential oils, you're putting a drop or two into say 5 or 10 mils of this carrier oil. So olive oil, sunflower. Dogs actually really like grapeseed oil. Don't worry, this is not going to cause kidney failure for your pets like if they were potentially to eat grapes. This is a different component of the grape, and it's highly, highly beneficial. Carolyn Ingraham uses this all the time with her self-selection that she's been doing for years and years, and has never once had a problem with any kidney disease. So I don't want to cause any fear. It's a good oil to use. Coconut oil and also safflower oil are other great, awesome oils that you can use too. Now, what are some of the top essential oils to support detox? So what I did is I went through and picked 5 of my favorites that also have additional benefits. That's the power of plant medicine, is that we're going to have synergistic effects and it's going to be working on different things in the body. But helichrysum is a great one, German chamomile, geranium, bergamot, and lemon. So let's start with helichrysum. So helichrysum's from the daisy family. It's very safe and versatile. It's very helpful with detoxification, toxin metabolism, and also helps bring elevated liver values back down to normal. What it does in the body is it's actually reducing oxidative stress. So it's helping reduce inflammation, and it helps release blocked energy too. So this can be stored in the liver. The liver tends to be associated with like anger and emotions in traditional Chinese medicine. And so if we have blocked energy stuck in the liver, we may see elevated liver values. So we can use essential oils that are going to help release that, get things moving again. This is a great anti-inflammatory oil. So it has a lot of great benefits. The way you use this oil in dogs is you can use it through diffusion, so inhalation. So you can put a drop or two into a water diffuser and diffuse that in an open room. We can also use this topically. I chose these oils because they tend to be very safe for people who are just getting started. So if you wanted to use this topically, what you would do is you could put one drop, you could do one drop twice a day for 20 pounds of body weight. You can dilute that with 5 mils of a carrier oil and apply it to wherever you're doing it. You can rub it on the paws, you can rub it on the ears. Sometimes people run their hands along the back. You can also rub your hands together with the essential oil and pet your pets. The fur will actually absorb the essential oils. We can also give it orally. With oral dosage, I don't typically recommend forcing that on them. This would be where you're diluting the essential oil into a little container of carrier oil. So that way, and putting it down and allowing your dog to sniff it and self-select it and lick it if they want to. So if you're just getting started, do not just put it into their mouths, even though these are safe. And if you're diluting it, per the instructions on these slides, you should be safe if you're using high quality essential oils. However, go with a self-selection process, see what your dog does with that essential oil. Now, German chamomile is another great one. It's very safe once again, and it's a strong anti-inflammatory and has really strong antihistamine properties due to its high azulene content. So with this oil, you'll see if you have ever used German chamomile, it has this bright blue color, and that's due to that constituent that makes up this essential oil. It's also protective for helping the liver. So hepatoprotective, it induces glutathione S transferase, which is actually an important part for certain phases of detoxification in the liver. So by using this oil, we can help support detoxification. We can help reduce inflammation. It also helps immensely with allergies and skin disease. So any conditions that are releasing a lot of histamine in the body. And once again, the way we use this in dogs can be used through inhalation. So a diffuser, so you're putting 1 to 2 drops in that diffuser, diffusing it in an open room where your dog can come and go as they please. We can use it topically. We can also use it orally. For using it orally, this is where we're adding 4 to 8 drops to 5 mils of a base oil. So once again, go with self-selection, put it down in a little container for them to self-select if they want to ingest it or smell it. And then we have geranium. This is very useful for the liver and pancreas support. It helps with skin conditions also, and it also helps regulate hormones. The neat thing about geranium is that it's what we call a yin oil. So it's very useful where we have the lack of yin. So yin in Chinese medicine is the dark side of the Tai Chi symbol, where it's cooling, it's moisturizing, and it's feminine. And so what happens when we have a lack of yin in the body, we tend to have dryness. Our pets tend to overheat. We can see a sign of like a bright red tongue. And it's really good for mature females. So helping with estrogen. Estrogen is a yin hormone. It's moisturizing. So this is really good for those older female dogs. Doesn't mean you can't use it in male dogs, but those are the signs you're kind of looking for to see, does this work on a Chinese medicine principle for my pet? Once again, very safe. And the way that we use this in our dogs, once again, we can put it in a diffuser, we can use it topically, we can use it orally. And I would go with a 1% dilution off the previous chart. We can apply that topically. And once again, if we're using it orally, we can give 1 drop of the solution twice a day. I would put this in a carrier oil of your choice and put it down and allow them to self-select. But this is a really nice oil, and it's very soothing. If you've ever smelled geranium, it's very good for skin quality. You can use it on aging skin. It helps with wrinkles for people, but I've used it for allergies and helping pets in that manner too. And then we have bergamot. So this is kind of like the opposite of the yin. It's a more masculine oil, and it's non-toxic, but it can be photoreactive. So this is important to know the oil you're getting from the company. Does it have the bergaptine constituent? That's what makes it phototoxic. So what I mean by that is if we apply it topically to your pet's skin, we want to make sure that they don't have sun exposure for 12 hours because it can increase the risk of getting a sunburn. So keep that in mind if you are using this topically. This is a great one to diffuse in the house though, because it's really good for emotional concerns, anxiety. And think about if you have a lot of toxins in your body, or you have this liver qi stagnation from a Chinese medicine perspective, and there's too many toxins, you don't feel good. So we can use essential oils that are going to support emotional health while we're doing other things to help draw the toxins out, to bind to the toxins, all the things you're going to learn about in the summit to really help balance and support this pet through the healing process. And there's limonene and related terpenes that strongly support the immune system too. And we get this overall balancing effect. So once again, here's the dosage and how you use this in dogs. We can use it in the diffuser. Once again, it'll help everyone in the house. So if you have a crazy household, definitely get some bergamot, and you can even keep it at like your desk when you're working and just open the bottle and sniff it. That's the inhalation technique. It works for everyone and is so powerful, but so safe, which is great. We can apply it topically. Keep in mind that it can be photoreactive unless you're getting the essential oil without that constituent that makes it phototoxic. And if you want to use it orally or topically, we can add 5 to 10 drops of that essential oil to 5 mils of the base oil, put it down in a container, see what your dog does. And once again, so powerful watching your pet self-select what they need. Typically what I do is I give, if we're doing a self-selection and putting down different essential oils, put them in different areas because your dog will smell it. As soon as you crack that bottle open, they're going to smell it from across the room. Their sense of smell is so strong. So by putting them in different areas, it will truly allow your pet to go, what does my body need? Oh, I really need that. And they'll go to that area where that essential oil is. And then the last one is lemon. And once again, this could be a photoreactive essential oil. So just be careful if you're using this topically. It is very safe to use, even though it's a citrus. So you probably heard like avoid citrus oils. When we use high quality therapeutic essential oils, when we dilute them appropriately and we're smart about it, they are very safe and they can be very effective. Now, lemon also has powerful blood cleansing properties, and it improves digestion and it counteracts acidity in the body. Why is that important? We go back to those detox pathways. We know the liver is really important for detox, but so is gut health. And so when we use lemon and we're supporting digestion, we're going to help the body clear the toxins, go through those 2 phases of detox in the liver, get them out into either the gut or through the kidneys into the bladder and out. And if the gut is working well and the mobility is good, those toxins are more likely to get out of the system. Lemon also has a lot of antibacterial properties, so that's why you see it used in a lot of cleaning, natural cleaning recipes. It does need to be diluted though, just like all of these. I always recommend just dilute the heck out of these essential oils. If there's any fear around them, you can use that dosage there. And once again, let them self-select it if you want to use it orally, or you can diffuse it in an open room. And some of the best ways to start with essential oils. So start using individual essential oils. There are blends that you can get from AnimalEO that can support the liver itself if you're looking for a really strong, or a strong, suitable liver detox, depending on what's going on with your dog. But just start with one and see how they go. If there's a lot of emotions and your dog's kind of emotional, get the bergamot and start with that. Start with a water diffuser, put it in an open room that your dog can come and go. Our Finn used to lay by our water diffuser, and he would choose, like, he would put his head up to the diffuser on like the table and sniff it. Like, he totally self-select those essential oils. Now, the biggest thing, if you're using these for the first time, what I recommend is be there for at least 15, 20 minutes. If you notice any signs of excessive blinking, where they're drooling, salivating, sneezing, coughing, trouble breathing, open the window, turn off the diffuser, and just get your pet outside. Typically, they'll go back to normal. That reaction is very rare, especially if you are using high quality essential oils. More common when you use synthetic grade essential oils. So essential oils off of Amazon, or you walk into a store that's not like an herbal medicine store and you see essential oil sitting there and you're like, oh, that's a good idea, we should get that. Don't do it. Just don't do it. And if you're using topically or orally, always dilute it with a carrier oil. If you're just getting started, stick with your diffuser, play around with it, kind of see how it works, see how your dog's doing, and then start like taking the next steps. And I've got some additional resources of books that you can buy to help guide you to allow that self-selection process. And then keep in mind, this is one very small step for helping your pets. You want to combine it with other recommendations for best results. So making sure we're removing other toxins, right? We're removing the need for unnecessary vaccinations. We don't want to over vaccinate. We want a tighter test. We want to make sure that the water is being filtered. So checking the Environmental Working Group website to see how many toxins are in your tap water. We also want to remove toxins from like flea and tick and dewormer preventatives. So we're reducing the amount of chemicals going into our pets' bodies. And keep in mind, stress can be a toxin. We know that stress by itself can cause leaky gut, can cause inflammation, which can cause dysregulation of the immune system, and it's all interconnected. So keep in mind all those things. And the beautiful thing with that is essential oils can help with so many areas, right? They can support detoxification, they can reduce inflammation, they support emotional health. That's why I love them so much. And they can be very effective. Now, this is a great pet safe insect repelling spray that you can make using essential oils. Now, keep in mind, when you are using natural insecticides and natural insect repellents, it's not an insecticide. So say you were using Bravecto or those other strong chemicals, those are insecticides. They kill the insect. That's why they tend to be pretty effective. The problem is, though, is that they're a very strong chemical and they can harm your pets too. That's why we see side effects. So you have to apply these more frequently. Sometimes you have to use multiple things, but they're definitely my go-to for fleas and ticks is using the natural remedies and seeing if you can avoid or even just reduce the amount of times you have to use stronger chemicals. And if you're using chemicals around the house or inside the house because you're like, there's so many pet like bugs and things like that, try these techniques. And if you're using high quality essential oils, it will be safe for your dogs and cats in case they come into contact with it. So peppermint oil is a great one. And I put some recipes here. You can even just put drops of peppermint oil on cotton balls and put them around like where the doors, the windows are, and it's going to help repel spiders. And I've got some lists there with specifics for like mosquitoes and flies and ticks. So play around with this and see what works best for your house and for your environment. And then I wanted to also talk about herbs and food, because the thing is that food is medicine and we can combine it with essential oils. Or if you're like, I'm still scared about using essential oils, then we take one step back and we use the herbs, we use the plants that the essential oils came from, and it won't be as strong. They're safer. You can use still the same self-selection principles using the actual herbs and teas and tinctures. And there's all sorts of ways to use these plants, which is what I love. So the biggest thing is I'm a huge fan of using real food to help our pets. So this can be difficult if you have a picky pet, but this is where we want to use foods that are supporting detox pathways. So sulforaphane is a substance in cruciferous vegetables, so like broccoli, Brussels sprouts, kale, and sulforaphane has some really powerful anti-inflammatory and anti-cancer benefits. So what it does is it activates this NRF2 pathway that helps lower chronic inflammation in your pet and helps detox the liver. This substance also triggers phase 2 detox in the liver, which is essential for getting the toxins out of the body. Now, what you could do too, if you have a super picky pet, use broccoli sprouts. They have almost 100 times more sulforaphane than broccoli. So giving just a pinch to even a half cup of sprouts for your like large breed dogs can make a big difference. Also, we can look at foods that are high in glutathione, which is also an essential component of certain phases of detox in the liver. So asparagus is one of the highest in glutathione out of all vegetables. And vitamin C is an essential nutrient too. So we can use like organic blueberries. And you have a small dog, give 1 to 2 blueberries. If they don't like the blueberry, like mash it up, or you can even blend everything together to see if they'll take it better. But the nice thing when we're using real food, if your dog doesn't want it, don't force it on them, but it's really hard to overdose real food. So that's the nice thing when we're using it for the medicinal properties. Some of the other foods that we can use for detox are going to include things like liver. So like treats like, right? This is the principle of organotherapy. So feeding liver helps liver function. Make sure if you can, try to get grass-fed organic animals to reduce the amount of toxins. Parsley has gentle detox properties that also help those kidneys. So you can sprinkle fresh or dried parsley on the food. We can even use rosemary to help support the liver and activate those enzymes that are necessary. What you do with rosemary is you can just take a couple of those little sprigs, chop it up, sprinkle it in the food a couple times a week. We can use dandelion leaves and roots, and you'll find those in a lot of detox blends, and those are going to help remove those toxins from the body. They're a great liver tonic. They're also supporting the kidney health. And then also there's certain supplements that use whole foods and glandulars that I love using. So specifically standard process is a great one that's been around for a really long time. So I'd be looking at canine whole body support or canine hepatic support for more specific liver. The whole body is it's kind of like a multivitamin in whole food form. And what you can do is you can pulse treat these where they don't necessarily need it every single day. But say you're giving it 3 to 5 times a week, or if your pet is going through something where they do need extra liver support, you can safely use these daily. And that leads me into how often to use, just kind of covered that. But if you need stronger support, so say your pet does have elevated liver values, you can use 2 to 3 weeks on, 1 week off if you need that stronger support long-term. If we're maintaining general health, you can use it quarterly. So doing like a quarterly detox for 1 to 2 weeks, where you're using some of these stronger supplements, maybe some of these detox blends or the milk thistle, some of the brands that I listed there, the Adored Beast Liver Tonic. And if you need to give flea and tick or heartworm preventatives, this is where you can use it for 2 weeks following that medication. So that way we're helping the body process those drugs, process everything, get it out of the body. Now, where essential oils fit in, you use it as needed. This doesn't have to be used every day. I do not use essential oils every day, especially with my pets, but what we can do is if you're finding that you need a little bit extra help, put some down, dilute it in that carrier oil, see what they need, what they're self-selecting, just have some on hand. This is where I have a kit ready just in case they're doing something, or if I notice my cat or my dog is really stressed, then I can pick like my bergamot, put that down, see how they do, or I can diffuse it in an open room that they can come and go. That's the power of this, is that it doesn't have to be perfect, that you can start trying different things to see what your dog does best with. And then of course your foods can be added in daily and rotated for variety. They don't need Brussels sprouts every day, but you can rotate it in. You can use it as a whole food topper. So if you are using kibble and you're like, I can't get them to a raw food diet for whatever reason, expenses or whatever reason it is, you can use these foods as a whole food topper to help increase the nutritional content, but also support the detox pathways, because we know that there is more chemicals in those foods, but we can support the body. And there's numerous studies that have shown that there is a decreased cancer risk when we add in fresh, vibrant, phytonutrient-rich foods at least 3 times a week. Pretty powerful, right? Only 3 times a week, and you're still feeding a processed food diet, and it gives you tremendous health benefits. So keep that in mind. Try not to stress over this. This is where the fun part is, where you can start integrating in different things, different modalities to see how your pets do. So once again, I always go back to like these 5 pillars of health because it's so interconnected, and it gives us the bigger framework that we should be looking at when we're looking at our dog's health from a holistic health approach. We want to start by looking at reducing the sources of toxins. How can we improve the nutrition of our dogs? We can assess the environment. So that ties into like assessing what's the level of toxins. You'll start noticing those yellow flags in your neighbor's yard, or if they're spraying the park where you walk your dog. These are all the things I noticed with Finn, and I could have done so much better with his detox. So I don't want you to make the same mistakes that I made with Finn. And this is why I'm so passionate about detox and toxins and looking at environmental health. But also we need to be assessing emotional health, because it can inhibit healing, or it can create more inflammation. It can create that leaky gut condition and affect digestion. So all of these things, gut health and nutrition, that's going to directly affect immune health. Environmental health is going to play a part. That's going to affect emotional health, which is also physical health plays a huge part in this. So everything is all interconnected. So when we optimize these pillars, it's like a wheel, right? It can roll and run so smoothly, and we get optimal health. So this is where we can utilize herbs, essential oils, medicinal foods, support a healthy detox for our dogs, but also support a healthy and happy body so they live a long and vibrant life. And I always want to leave with you, there's so much you can do. There's so much you can do to control your dog's health. And this is just one little tidbit of a holistic health action plan that you can start today with your dogs. And if you haven't tried using some of these, I'd love to hear how it goes. Now, here's some additional resources too. So there's a couple books that I highly recommend. The one by Carolyn Ingraham, so the Animal Aromatics Workbook, that is all going to be your animal aromatics, right? So self-selection, how to do it, how to dose it. There's a lot of other like clays and different options there. Highly recommend it. Dr. Melissa Shelton has her book, The Animal Desk Reference, which gives you a dive into how to use these too for all sorts of animals. The Aromatic Dog is another great option. They have also the Aromatic Cat by my good friend Julianne Thorne. So if you have cats too, get both. And then Herbs for Pets by Greg Tilford is also a great resource, because remember, the plants, we're distilling the essential oils from the plants. So if you're terrified of essential oils, go one up and use the plant. And then there's some additional resources if you want to dive deep into some of the research studies that show how amazing these essential oils are in supporting health, reducing inflammation, and helping the body maintain homeostasis and balance. So I appreciate each and every single one of you. I'm super excited to hear how starting to add in essential oils goes for your dog, how your dog feels, how they do. I'm Dr. Katie Woodley, the Natural Pet Doctor. For more information, definitely check us out at thenaturalpetdoctor.com. You can always send an email to us too at info@thenaturalpetdoctor.com. And I appreciate each and every one of you for taking the time to learn more, to empower yourselves and gain the tools that you need to help your pets live their best life. Take care, everyone.